Protesters gathered outside Downing Street demanding his resignation. They didn't get a scalp, but just up the road where he was giving a speech to the Conservative Spring Forum, they did get an admission he'd mishandled the revelations in the Panama Papers. And he promised the imminent disclosure of information about his tax returns. Jane Dodge has this.
He was meant to be launching his party's local election campaign today. But questions about his tax affairs just won't go away. So, in front of the party faithful, the Prime Minister made an admission of sorts.
Well, it's not been a great week. I know that I should have handled this better. I could have handled this better. I know there are lessons to learn, and I will learn them.
Then there was an explanation.
I was obviously very angry about what people were saying about my dad. I love my dad, I miss him every day, but I mustn't let that cloud the picture. And the facts are these. The facts are I bought shares in a unit trust, shares that are like any other sorts of shares, and paid tax on them in exactly the same way. I sold those shares. In fact, I sold all the shares that I owned on becoming Prime Minister.
Mr Cameron went on to say he'll publish his tax returns, the first Prime Minister to do so. But what he didn't do was apologise for buying and then selling shares in his father's offshore fund. He insists he didn't break any rules and the business wasn't set up to avoid paying tax. He'd left the building by the time protesters arrived calling for his resignation. Police scrambled to block the entrance of the venue. Theresa May had to leave via the back door. Another party member was surrounded as he tried to drive away. He needed a police escort before he could leave. David Cameron's comments may have reassured and satisfied the party faithful inside here today, but many others outside the party won't be satisfied, including those people here today. And saying that he will publish his tax returns won't change that.
That's the crime, that he's done nothing illegal, that this is completely legal, that people can squirrel their money offshore without actually having to contribute like the rest of everyone else.
The Labour leader has welcomed the Prime Minister's decision to publish his tax returns and says all MPs should follow suit.
Well, I think you should put into the public domain what your levels of income are, where it comes from, and the tax that's paid on them. I think that's the correct level of doing it. What they pay out in the sense of dependents, support for children, support for family and so on, that clearly is private business and should remain private business.
Back at the Tories' Spring Forum, it was Europe, not tax havens, that was provoking a battle of the bags. But the row over the Prime Minister's tax affairs is far from over. It was the leak of the so-called Panama Papers that brought the issue to a head. The government is expected to announce its response to that tomorrow.
Well, after his speech to that Conservative conference, I caught up with the London Mayor, Boris Johnson.
And you continue to publish them if you become Prime Minister?
I published them in 2012, everybody knows. Why did you ring up The Guardian and ask about their shell company in the Kingdom?
Well, I've got you just here. I mean, do you think it's morally wrong to be investing in offshore trusts and funds?
Why didn't you ask The Guardian?
Well, I'm just asking you, you're here. Is it morally wrong, or is it actually a legitimate way of making money?
I think you should put it to The Guardian.
No, I'm asking you though. I mean, you obviously think it's not morally wrong then?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Investing in offshore trusts and funds, is that morally wrong or not? Would you defend investing in offshore trusts and funds?
I'm here to back
Boris, that's a really straightforward question. Is it morally wrong to invest in offshore trusts and funds, or is that a legitimate way of making money?
Ask all these left-wing media organisations.
I'm asking you, you're Mayor of London.
But
is it morally wrong?
Depends what you're doing.
Okay, so was it morally wrong for the Prime Minister to profit from these funds?
We're here to backtrack. Here we go.
Thank you, Mayor.
And in the interest of full disclosure, the Guardian offshore shell company the Mayor referred to in that clip was made public by the Guardian in 2008. At the time, the Guardian Media Group said that the structure used would not save the company any UK corporation tax compared with an onshore structure.